Good day and welcome to SCO BRICS Insight, where we look at what's really going on in the world of the BRICS. Now, when I was a young journalist just starting out in the calling, back then being a journalist was a calling, and it was all about facts, figures, integrity, honest and balance. It's obviously something that's now disappeared completely, a bit like the newspapers themselves. Now, in the smoke-filled newsrooms of provincial newspapers back then, I learned that dog bites man is not news, but man bites dog is headline news. Now, there's some news that should be headlines, like man bites dog, but have been buried by the mainstream media. Now, there's been a series of disparaging and insulting actions directed at the collective West and its Anglo-Saxon core, and they continue to unfold at a rapid pace. Their exact number and timing are already getting challenging to remember them all. Now, Bloomberg, citing multiple high-ranking sources within the G7, has reported that Saudi Arabia allegedly threatened the countries of the Big Seven with the dumping of their EU holdings portfolio of EU bonds if attempts to confiscate Russians' foreign assets amounting to $300 billion went ahead. Now, as I previously reported in other of my videos, the latter are mostly blocked within the Belgian financial group Euroclear, which specialises in securities transactions, either like clearing and non-cash settlements. The word uses the conditional phrase allegedly for good reason, which will become apparent later in my video, so don't forget allegedly. Now, Bloomberg is a prominent global news agency that's been criticised in recent years for publishing what is called sensitive information. Its editorial board has been transparent about its use of insider sources. It's often the case that the information is deliberately leaked to it, but it's totally factual and designed to suit the Western establishment narrative. However, the company Bloomberg was founded by Michael Bloomberg, who's a multi-billionaire, former mayor of New York, a failed Democrat presidential candidate, and a prominent donator to the US Democratic Party. He's used his agency on numerous occasions to promote specific narratives to advance their desired agenda and even challenge and attack political rivals. This has always been in an indirect but clearly discernible manner. Now, before I continue, I'd like to appeal to you for your support for my channel and help me develop it and my website, SCOBRICSinsight.com, which you can do by making a small donation. All you have to do is click on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen. Now, I thank you for all donations, and I do make a personal thank you to everybody who does donate. Now, Bloomberg cites three high-ranking officials from the G7 apparatus and states that the Saudi Arabian finance minister had a private telephone conversation with his colleagues from the G7. Now, during these conversations, the old world representatives were warned against any attempts to use not only the body of the Russian assets, but also the interest on them. Otherwise, Riyhad indicated its intention to initiate the dumping on the market their holdings of European bonds denominated in euros, with a particular focus on French securities. Now, the rationale behind picking on the French is unclear. Maybe they just don't like Macron. However, Western financiers have already calculated that the volume of French securities in the hands of the Saudis could amount to tens of billions of dollars, or euros in their case. Now, at the same time, the experts claim that the sale of such a package, while not sufficient to cause a collapse in the French stock market or its economy, could cause panic that could lead to serious chaos and losses. They also expressed that other countries in the global south holding debt obligations of European countries may follow suit and threaten the collective West. Now, you only have to remember what happened a couple of years ago when Liz Truss was the newly installed Prime Minister of the UK and tried to bring in some economic measures that the global investment community didn't like and went crazy. I mean, the markets got spooked and she was soon out of office, so never underestimate the power of the major financial holdings like sovereign wealth funds. Now, the Saudi Arabian finance minister has refuted these allegations that its bilateral relations are founded on mutual respect and are geared towards fostering and enhancing the stability of the global financial system. So what he is saying is the use of alleged that I mentioned before shows that they have no actual proof that he said these things, so they've used the word alleged. I mean, the primary concern for the Western think tanks is whether these actions represent a shift in Riyadh's foreign policy, a form of indirect support for Russia, and specifically for Vladimir Putin in particular, who's met with the Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman on numerous occasions in recent years. So what's also worth noting, the MBS recently spoke with Vladimir Zelensky. Now, Western media outlets have reported an increase in the strength of relations between Moscow and Riyadh since the inception of the special military operation in the Ukraine. Additionally, Russia and Saudi Arabia have demonstrated a consistent alignment in their approach to oil production, with both countries contributing to the stabilisation of prices through their participation in OPEC+. And it's accurate to conclude that this is not the outcome that the global West and North would have preferred. We'll leave it to the Western think tanks to draw their own conclusion and for an assessment. But for now, I'd like to remind you of something. In a video I did a few months ago, I highlighted the beginning of the process of the decoupling of Saudi Arabia and the United States. In August 2022, President Biden made a personal visit to Riyadh with a request for Saudi Arabia to increase oil production, given the fuel situation in the United States and the urgent need to bring down prices at the pump on behalf of the White House because of the midterm elections. I mean, the visit concluded without any tangible outcome, and Washington's request was met with silence. I mean, this is one of the first instances that led to a decline in Joe Biden's approval rating, which has continued to significantly decline. 1 month later, at the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II of the UK and was in the United Kingdom, Mohammed bin Salman was in London at the time. He was expected to attend the ceremony as his country's head of state. However, the British government decided to inform them he was not welcome and he was not invited to attend. And this was an unprecedented and serious insult to someone the UK government had courted for years. Now, the Western press was in a state of shock, reported that the Saudis had been then drawn into a much closer relationship with Russia. At this point, the new multipolar world was beginning to form, and Russia was being viewed as a highly problematic partner by those who aligned with the US on foreign policy. In 2023, Moscow and Riyadh worked together to maintain oil production at an acceptable level for both of them, which prevented prices falling and allowed both parties to receive their preferred level of income and revenue. Concurrently, the digitalisation of financial processes in the hydrocarbons market is progressing at a rapid pace. Saudis were instrumental in integrating into the global CBDC, which is Central Bank Digital Currency Payment System, and in collaboration with other financial centres, it successfully tested the BRICS system. Now, both processes were accompanied by a decrease in the share of the dollar and a sharp increase in trade volumes in wire, and that includes via digital. Concurrently, Saudis were able to improve relations with Iran, another centre of geopolitical power and a key player in the region, including also in the oil market, thanks to the mediation of Moscow and Beijing, and now all four of them are members of BRICS. I mean, these developments have had a positive impact on the stability of the external markets and the stability of Saudi Arabia's own economy. I mean, it's therefore unsurprising that in June 2024, only those with a limited knowledge were surprised by the US's unilateral termination of its agreement with Saudi Arabia. I mean, this agreement saw Saudi support the dollar's hegemony using its resources, in return for which it's now received ultimatums and demands. I mean, Western financial institutions estimate that the sovereign wealth fund of Saudi Arabia, a country with a population of 37.4 million, is currently valued at almost $1 trillion. The country's central bank, the SAMA, has estimated investments in foreign debt obligations of $445 billion, of which 135 are actually held in US Treasury bonds. So despite Riyadh's official assurances to Washington there's no intention of reducing its dollar investment, it's evident that it's testing the resilience of some of its weaker financial holdings. I mean, to illustrate the point that angers the Saudis, the European Union, at the urging of the US, is aiming to secure annual interest payments of between $3 and $5 billion from the Russian assets to guarantee a loan to the Ukraine. I mean, this action has set a seriously dangerous precedent. It's of no consequence whether the Saudis are doing it in their own interest or in support of Russia. Me, I'm just pleased with the current interim results, so it's a man bites dog story. Thank you for watching, and please like and subscribe. If you enjoyed this video, you can help me fund the channel and the website SCO BRICS Insight.com by clicking on the thanks button at the bottom of the screen. Thank you.